We're back in Peru here over Sacsayhuaman. We'll get to Ollantaytambo. There's a few sites across the world just to clarify my point that I'm making here about these polygonal blocks, specifically in Peru, that they are imprints and cracks where they're solidified over of where this stuff was poured down the walls. Or I'm just going to show you the framing, right, and the imprints of where the wooden beams came through the wall. I will only speak here and there in this video because I put one out a week ago, didn't I? So this framing here is about what I'm talking about. I suppose the blocks in Peru are about this thick, so whether or not they were pouring it down the walls or we are literally just looking at natural cracks from frost and earthquakes, and it's solidified over from whatever material they were building this wall with, right? But it was built into some type of framing like this, and I'm going to point you out. These coffins here were obviously hit with ash and buried during the flood. Why some of this framing across Peru, this wall is completely eroded away, I don't know why, and we're just left with the main material, you know, that they were packing into this structure itself, right? But I can point you areas out which seem pretty obvious to me, like this one here. And for those people that think what I've just pointed out there is not what I've just been saying, then this image here must be some kind of decoration pointing out at this broken rock, which in my opinion is what I'm talking about. What you're looking at here is basically the same thing on the right there. I've given an example of a different site on the left is what you will be left with if all the wooden framing rotted away, which is what these next few images are about. In fact, if you look behind the blocks on the bottom, the large ones, as they were excavating this site, they were finding all these smaller blocks, right, which they eventually piled up. Now, in my opinion, if you look on the top right of this, right, they've not been chopping this away from some kind of quarry somewhere. That is literally what they were finding, right? And in my opinion, that is petrified wood. It's the framing, and as this has been running down the wall, as it's been solidifying and calcifying, it was running over the wooden framing which was poking out of the wall, and that's why it's shaped like that. It's just pretty straightforward. And this image here, originally I made a video and I thought it was something else, but I'll zoom in on it, right, and you can actually see that this is rotting wood even today. And in my opinion, I see no reason why blocks as small as this wouldn't have been created from something similar to a partition wall, right? But because they are small, I suppose they could have created blocks from whatever they were packing into what I was showing you earlier, right? But what we're looking at here, because this is understood to have been built by two different civilizations from different time periods, right? And that's accepted everywhere, but from what I see all over the place, especially these images here, these three that I'm going to show you, I think they were built at the exact same time, right? And it's just a failing of the wall. Maybe it were hit by whatever event it was, or these blocks were created by a different team and they've just eroded away faster, in my opinion, and I think it stands out. If you look at this corner section here, can you see the two lines that's running down this large block, and the one on the left lines up with the crack that's on the bottom section, right? So that's where it's been smothered into. And something else that you'll see in a lente tambo, like this doorway, has been created a doorway, but these, what they call nubs, are mostly around some kind of entrance where something is slotted into, right, for structural safety. Now I'm going to zoom into that area there for you to show you that this is not natural rock, it's man-made, it's something that's been packed into a superstructure, and that's more than obvious from this image. This is just an old image that you can see that when they found this site it was indeed extremely buried, right? And I promised you that I would show you the old image that shows that there is indeed another section. Anyways, I've just deleted a few images from this video and I'm just going to come straight in with this. So this is Olente Tambo again, and the image that I'm showing here is what I would say this, how, you know, when I speak about something being smothered into something, like the image that I showed you, the black and white one, which I will make as a thumbnail for this video. It's just this area here that I want to point out, because I said in the last video that you know, the mainstream archaeologists say that this site was shaped around the mountain itself, like they've been lasering around the rock itself. Okay, but look at this, I'm drawing for you. You can see how the blocks line up with the lines, which is where I'm saying that some blocks have failed and they've since solidified. They line up. You can even see some of the actual framing. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of this stuff is not what people think it is, right? And you know, I'm not a 100% sure all the time. I'm just pointing things out that people should be looking at instead of just coming up with the same old ideas that I was knocking out 20 years ago. Because as I zoom in on the top section of this area here, we can see that these aren't single blocks, right? It has been smothered into some type of framing, or they're made up of smaller pieces and since solidified. From this image, that is more than obvious. I showed this framing, which is what it was smothered into, which helped keep it in place. And if you doubt that, when you look at this image here, look at the surfacing compared to the sandy substance that's underneath. If anyone thinks that these are a single piece of andesite, because it's definitely not andesite. Most people think that somebody just came to this area here and used some type of lost technology and just machine these lines out for no reason whatsoever. But when I show you this area here, I don't know where it is, but it is in Peru. In my opinion, this was something similar to a drain pipe. You can see it runs down the wall. You can even see the box section at the top, right? But what the main point here is about solidification and calcification that people need to start injecting into their work. You will notice that the cracks where it's flat line up with what they call polygonal blocks that they think have been shaped together and just are human hair precise, right? But they do line up with the flat area, which means that as what was up against this wall left this imprint and the rest of it calcified over. Well, if you like that, ladies and gentlemen, and you want to help the channel moving forward, you can press on the link in a pinned comment, which will be in every video from now on. Thank you.